Hi, welcome to the 13th floor. I'm Marty Duda, and today we have a couple members of Halestorm with us.
Yay!
Yay! They've just flown in from Australia. How you feeling?
I feel great, actually. It's that Australia is kind of like the training wheels for New Zealand. we feel great. We feel like we've been here for a while, and
I'm sure the Australians would feel great about considering themselves as training wheels for New Zealand.
Yes, and you can quote me on that. I love your name, by the way. It's such a rock star name.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's interesting because when I was doing radio up in upstate New York back in the 70s, and when I first got my first job, they were like, okay, well, what do you want to change your name to?
Oh.
And I was like, are you kidding me? This is like the only thing that this name is good for. I've been getting made fun of through high school for the last God knows how long, and now I'm finally doing something nobody believes it's real
it's
anyway.
the perfect way to get back at all of those people, too. It's like, aha!
And I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. You guys are from Pennsylvania,
Absolutely.
so Keystone Staters all the way through.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It still comes out every now and then. There's a song on our record called Vicious, our title track, and there's a line in there that says, I'm not asking for forgiveness. And in the studio, my Pennsylvania Dutch started coming out,
Right.
and so I'm not asking for forgiveness. He's like, can you just pretend like you have an English accent just for a second so we can get rid of that harsh A?
Yeah. I had the same problem. We moved from Western Pennsylvania to upstate New York, and I was in 7th grade, and the accent thing was huge.
Absolutely.
And there's only like a few hundred miles difference between,
It's a big state.
Exactly. So welcome here. You're doing a headlining show at the Power Station tonight, and then you're opening for Judas Priest in a couple of days.
Yeah, how about it?
How about that?
Life is good.
Yeah. Oh, and before we go on, we should say who you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hi.
this is Lzzy, and this is Joe.
Yes.
Lzzy is the singer. Joe is the guitar player. So yeah. So Judas Priest. This all kind of came around at the last minute, I assume, right?
Yeah, Ozzy canceled.
Yeah.
He got sick. He canceled the festivals in Australia too, and so Live Nation they were like, well, you guys are in the country. Do you want to open up for Judas Priest? And we're like, sure.
So, let me think about that for a second. Yeah,
We had the day off.
That'll do. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. Have you ever done that? Worked with them before?
No, this is our first time.
No, we just played those 2 festivals in Australia with them.
Right.
But we were busy. We didn't even get to see them. So
Right.
It's interesting because we've been in this band for a while, and it's one of those things where just in the past couple of years, all of our idols are starting to kind of be like, oh, who is this band Halestorm? So we've gotten kind of conversations around, with Richie Faulkner, and then Rob Halford just mentioned us in an interview the other day, and then it's like, oh, this is, it's one of those things like if your 13-year-old self could like see you now,
Right.
what's going on? It's cool. It's really neat.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to be calm about it, but it's not working.
So is that the stuff that you were listening to when you were 13?
When I was 13, so I technically I'm born in '83, so I grew up in the '90s as a teenager, but I was always kind of obsessed with '80s and '70s hard rock and metal. So a lot of my dad's music. So it was Alice Cooper and Judas Priest and Dio and Black Sabbath and all of that stuff. So much to my little friend's chagrin, who at the time were listening to Backstreet Boys and TLC and all of that stuff. So they were like, "What are you and why are you listening to this?" Well, I like it. So so it's really neat to kind of be here and just get to kind of meet and see and play alongside of your idols.
Right.
It's really neat.
Because listening to your singing technique, as it were, I hear kind of Joan Jett and Pat Benatar in there.
Oh, nice. Thank
So
you.
I don't know if that was something that you listened to? Or?
Absolutely. It's interesting because when I first started getting into music, it was a lot of my dad's music. So it was a lot of male-based rock, and then my mom was like, well, if you're gonna be into rock music, you should listen to all this stuff too. So she one Christmas got me CDs. It was live on the road home from Heart,
Right.
a greatest hits by Pat Benatar, Janis Joplin, Joan Jett, Lita Ford, all of that. Like, here, listen to all this. And so it was kind of interesting being, I guess then around that time I was about 15 years old, like really digging into the female vocals, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that girls could do that.
Right.
All of a sudden, like the gap was not as far. I'm like, oh wait, no, I can totally do that. So it's really neat.
And it's interesting, as a guy, you never think about that because all the other guys that you listen to are all other guys, and you're just kind of assume that you don't realize that you have to have that kind of connection because you already have it.
So
yeah, you kind of wonder, well, before, say, the mid-'70s, there weren't really very many female rock and rollers, and you kind of wonder why. And then you realize, hearing stories like that, they didn't have anybody to kind of relate to.
Well, it's interesting because when you're a kid, you get into rock music not because of any type of gender. You know that you love it, and you don't understand why. And then when you, again, like I don't even really call it a decision. Like, I decided to be in a rock band. It's like, for some reason I had to be here and had to do this type of music. And so by having that example, it really sparked something in me. Like, it wasn't so impossible. Like when I heard Ann Wilson sing, or when I heard Pat Benatar sing, I'm like, oh wait, that's a female voice, and I'm already a female, so I think I've already the hard part's over. Yeah. So, yeah.
Very cool. So lately, things have been changing in the music business and in the entertainment business and all over the place, and just in society in general. And I know you've had some comments about, the change in your audience and the perception as far as being a female and being able to kind of be into the kind of music that you're into. So what has made that occur, and how did you notice this to begin with? Did you just kind of look out in the audience one day and realize there's a bunch of chicks out there?
It seemed like it almost happened overnight. We've been having this conversation a lot because, it gets to the point, especially with me, and I'm used to hanging out with a bunch of dudes, so a lot of times I forget.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I'm like the only girl here, cool. So you don't really think about that a lot, and then all of a sudden we're like, wow, this is like, it used to be like 60-40 male-female, now it's completely flipped on its head. And I think that we're just in a time right now where girls want to rage and they want to own these moments, you know what I mean? And
it's cool to watch, like, just look out in the crowd now. So we noticed it last spring on that tour, like, the girls were coming out and they were like rocking out. Like we were making these kind of heavier moments on stage, and these girls are totally owning it. And I thought it was cool because it's not like this testosterone thing, it's just music.
Right.
Yeah. And it would, and it's interesting too, because it's like, these aren't the girls that are being like drugged to the rock show with their boyfriend.
Right, yeah.
It's like, I would rather see Taylor Swift. It's like, it's not that. It's like almost the opposite. So it's really cool.
But is part of it, do you think, our audience members better behaved these days? Like, I hear stories about women being assaulted, groped, whatever, while they're at shows, and it doesn't really matter what kind of show, what the genre of the music is, but is that getting to be less and less, do you think?
In our world, I really do think it starts with the band and what you stand for, and the kind of people that are attracted to not only your music but how you carry yourselves, and our particular audience, and I can't speak for the entire genre, but our particular audience is kind of a mishmash of all these different people and all these walks of life. So we have like the 70-year-olds with their dads and stuff in the front row, and then we got like the mid, obviously the crazy like 20-year-olds, and then in the back we got the old guys. You're bringing rock back,
right.
all this stuff. So it's like, it's so many different walks of life, and we have the the gay community and the females and the males and all this stuff, and it's just crazy how everybody takes it upon themselves to kind of lift each other up. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of this bigger idea where it's like, everybody's here for the same reason. It doesn't matter what your walk of life is. So what we see is not necessarily like anybody trying to hurt or bring anybody down. Right. So yeah, and I think that's become more of the MO of the entire live community too, because I think that it's a space where we can all be like, hey, no matter who you are, we all love music. Mm-hmm. So I think that is just kind of across the board.
Right. Do you feel a responsibility as being the artist kind of on stage for what happens in?
Yeah, we're the host of the party.
Yeah, no, if you see something funny going on, we'll stop a show and be like, whoa, or somebody gets hurt. Sometimes it's not. We have a funny crowd because they don't all crowd surf or mosh, but sometimes they do. Like, you go to some cities and they just go nuts. You're like, wow, be careful. It's like, right. We've seen like people thrown like off balconies. Like, what are you doing?
Why? And we're supposed to be the crazy ones here. Come on, guys. Yeah, no, it's
playing in Montana and watching this kid elbow another kid in the side of the head to get to the front, and it's just like a violent energy, and you're like, what are you guys doing down there, man?
There have been many times where I've had to be like, all right, wait, what are you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Everybody cool?
Yeah.
All right, now we start. You know, it's like it's one of those things. Again, you're the host of the party, so you are kind of responsible for that. And
The fights seem to break out during the love songs.
Absolutely. We were just having this conversation. It's like, it's not like we're like Limp Bizkit or anything. It's like we'll be playing like the cheesiest love song that we have, and a fight will nearly always break out in that one. Yeah, bringing up some emotions, I guess.
Yeah, they can hear each other talking to.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, not good. And is it happening all around the planet, or are there places where the change in females kind of feeling more comfortable in the audience is more so or less so?
I think it's pretty across the board. We're in a time right now where girls want to rage, and I think that music, and especially rock music, is a great outlet for that. And I know, just being a girl that loves rock music, that was always my way to kind of express that. And my dad used to always tease me because he's like, you're just such a quiet and a pleasant little girl. It's like, but then like you get on stage and you attack things, and it's like, you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay because of this music and because I have that outlet.
Right,
so
right.
I think it's a healthy way to do that.
Yeah. And I love the video for "Do Not Disturb."
Thanks.
Because I mean, I can imagine what people must have thought that video was going to
Absolutely.
be like, and then you just kind of turn it completely on its head.
Which is part of the reason why we did that. We're like, well, we could just go what we know everybody kind of is expecting us to do, or we could play with it a little bit. We pride ourselves in not taking everything too seriously.
Yeah, I like rock and roll with a smile.
Yeah. And like I said, we grew up with like Alice Cooper and all this, and he's one of the coolest ones that always did that. It's like, oh yeah, no, like it can be about sex, but we're gonna have fun with it too.
Alice never took himself too seriously.
Yeah.
He couldn't. I mean, he's chopping his head off.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you guys are opening for him later this year, right?
We are.
Yeah, we're doing a co-headline tour. My favorite thing, we live in Nashville now. We've been there 6 or 7 years. And,
right.
We're checking another venue off the list. We're playing the Grand Ole Opry with Alice Cooper.
Awesome.
There's like a circle of wood in the center of that stage. Apparently, I haven't been there yet, but it's from the original Ryman, where the original Grand Ole Opry, and those guys would stand there, and they put it there as kind of like a tribute to where it's come from, and
where Johnny Cash stood, and
we're just hoping that Alice cuts his head off on that circle.
Yeah, because it would just be perfect.
Hank Williams is going to turn it into
grave,
man. Nothing sacred.
Everyone's rolling in the grave. Yeah.
That's outrageous. Well, that'll be it. So what have you got planned for your shows here in New Zealand? So you got the Power Station and Judas Priest. You just
I mean, we've developed the set. We have some interesting things that we've been doing just recently in the past couple years, because we pride ourselves in it's the four of us. We plug in and we play. There's no tracks, no trickery. So with that freedom comes this kind of jazz element to what we end up doing, not the genre, but just we jam
with each
other. We improv with each other, and so there's these certain sections of the set that could go horribly wrong,
right?
Or they could make these magical moments. And
well, I think the best gigs are the ones that that have the potential to go bad. Absolutely. Because then they also have the potential to be amazing.
When you're bringing the audience along, that and you have this mutual feeling of okay, we're all on this roller coaster ride together. It's not just us leading you along.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and I feel like no matter who you are, even if you aren't musically inclined, you feel that in the audience. So it was great the other night where it's like we got it to this peak, and we all kind of looked at each other. And I don't know how this happens sometimes, but we've known each other a long time, and we all like did the same thing at the same time. We like dropped, and the entire audience was just like, you felt that, whoa, so like I love those moments, and so we have a lot of that going on right now.
Just try to do something new. It keeps it interesting to me. That's like where music is alive. You could sit there and play the same thing every night, and we've done that before, the same set list, and kind of realized after 2 weeks this is not for us. Like, this is not fun anymore, and that's not why we're up here.
So we switch up the set every night too.
Yeah, and to just like express yourself melodically in the moment, and try to do it in a way that is cohesive and has a thought and a purpose, and you go somewhere and take it there. And create moments and make people go woo. You know, that's our currency is woo.
And make the most woos in the night.
You can tell when it's getting boring when like you haven't heard a woo in a while. Like, all right, guys, we got to wrap it up and go somewhere here. Come on.
And then, so my little brother is the drummer.
Right.
So he and I have always had this very, very friendly. He and I are very close, but like very friendly, but very apparent sibling rivalry because he's always been like, I'm not going to be the front man, but I do want to be the front man, you know, in the back. So it's just like, okay, how many woos did you get? You know, it's like, I can do it better than you. Oh no, you can't, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's fun. We have a great time. And
he's like Tommy Lee Roth.
Tommy Lee Roth, that's a good one. That's awesome. Yeah, he's not here to defend himself, so we're just going to talk about RJ.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you guys for coming by here and sitting in and talking early in the morning. You know, I'm sure you'd rather be sleeping.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, right, I hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll look forward. I'm going to head down to the power station tonight and check it out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.